Hello there and welcome to ADcraft. Today I'm going to be showing you how to build this awesome futuristic base in your world. Now this design is fully modular, so once I showed you how to build the basics, I'll also show you a number of different variants that you can put together. But first of all, let's take a look at the materials you'll need. You'll need the following blocks. You can replace some of the flooring with something other than white quartz if you wanted to replace it with some concrete, which would reduce the number that you might need. Here's the layout for the build, which fits within a 39 by 34 space. The first step is to choose which side you want the front to be on your build. Now it's going to be on the long side, and we're going to put the front here in this corner. So what we're going to do is we are going to come in 2 blocks from the edge, and on the third block we're going to place a smooth quartz. Now this is going to run in a line right the way down to the bottom edge of this. With the exception of the very last block is just going to be a smooth quartz stair. So it's going to be smooth quartz all the way to this smooth quartz stair. With that first line of quartz finished, we're going to put another one, leaving a block gap here. We're going to then leave another block gap here. So we've got 3 of those. And as I mentioned, those are 2 in from the end. So on the third block. We're then going to do exactly the same and place 3 more, only on this other side, the side that's not the front, we're only going to leave 1 gap and then place 1 gap, place 1 and 1 gap. So we're going to have 6 of these strips going across the build. Now we've got those 6 lines laid out, that gives us the area that we'll need to start working on the domes in. So the first thing is we're going to come across 10 from here. So we're going to go 1, 2, on the 10th block, we are going to place a sea lantern here, and then we're going to do what we've done many times and build a 17 diameter circle. So we're going to do that by building out from one side, and I'll show you 1 quarter, and you just carry that on all the way around. You're going to build out 2 smooth quartz, then we're going to have a quartz and a sea lantern, then we're going to have 2 more smooth quartz and a sea lantern, and then a smooth quartz, and then 2 quartz with the sea lantern there. So that gives us 1 quarter of the circle. So just fill that in all the way round. If you've positioned it right, your circle will have a 1 block gap between each of these strips and the edge. So now what we're going to do is we're going to start building this circle up so it is a dome, and we're going to basically be replicating what we did on each quarter, but upwards to a center point. So what we'll do first of all is we'll place 2 blocks, then with the temporary block we'll place 2 more blocks coming upwards, then we're going to place a 1 block up and in, 1 block up and in like so, then we're going to come up 1 more block and across 2. So everything that we're doing upwards we're also going to be doing sideways. Then the last one is to place it across 2, and this brings us now to the center block. So do that from all of the different corners, and that will give you the start for your dome. Now we have the skeleton in place, we're going to start placing the rest of the glass. So we're going to do this, so I'm going to show you a quarter each time for each of the different stages, and then just repeat that on the other 4 quarters. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to place an L shape of glass up the top here, then we're going to do the same here, and we're going to do the same here. So repeat that all the way around. With those filled in all the way around in each of the quarters, we're going to start the next layer for the quarter. So we'll start again at the top, and we're going to place 2 either side. Then we're going to come in 2 like this, and then fill in that 1 block. So basically we've got a line that zigzags through and is 1 block deep. So we'll do the same here. So we've got the 2 at each side, then the 1 block up, and then fill in the middle block, and do the same on this last side. So it's a lot of repetition building these circles, but once you get used to them, then they actually become quite easy. So we're now going to carry that on all the way around on the other quarters. Now that that part is done, you can see it's starting to fill out nicely. The good thing about building the domes and spheres like this is that your eye is really good at spotting any errors that you've got. So if, for example, you'd left a block missing there, it's really easy for you to pick up on. So yeah, the next stage that we're going to do is simply for all of these sides, and we'll start again with the top as we have been. We're literally just going to follow this round 1 block further in until we get to this point here, and we're going to do the same here. So this time coming up and round like so, and just connect that across. Last one on this side, so up and across. So everything just touches on the corner, and that will give us this kind of triangular space left. But yeah, we'll repeat that again on each of these quarters. The last stage that we have is just to fill in these little triangular holes. And we're going to do this with some temporary blocks first of all, so I'll just use some sea lanterns so you can see where these are going. In each of these corners we're going to place a temporary block with a glass block next to them. We can then get rid of these blocks themselves, and those can be anything for you. Then we're going to place another set of temporary blocks, one here, and one here. It doesn't really matter where you put them. The key thing is we're just going to be using them as a place to have a surface so that we can fill in the last of these holes. So as you can see, we've now got this triangle done, and we're going to fill in the other three before moving on with the build. You'll now find, once you've done all of those triangles, that you are trapped in an absolutely beautiful dome. So before we escape, which will be through an entrance, the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to replace all of this floor with some smooth quartz. Now if you're doing this in survival, at this stage you might want to use some white concrete or something else as your floor block, just to save you on some resources. But getting some piglins for trading of quartz, or better still getting some stonemasons, is the best way to get a lot of quartz in survival. So fill this all in with your block of choice, and then once you've done that, we are going to be knocking out a 3x3 hole in this, the front side. So the front side over here we can tell because it's got the 2 gap, and that is going to come through here. We're also going to knock through these lines, and that helps us orient ourselves because this is going to be the entrance into the main base. With this entrance, we're also going to continue this quartz right the way through to this edge here as well, or whatever your floor block is, as I said before. So just fill all of this in with the quartz, and then we'll start building the next of the domes. Now that we've got that floor in place, we're going to start the second dome. And the second dome is going to start a single block away from this one. So where we've got the sea lantern, we just come out and we start the sea lantern here. And we follow exactly the same steps that we had previously, just building the ring, then doing the skeleton and doing the dome. So just do exactly as you have done. Rewatch the last portion of the video if you need, and I'll come back to you once this dome is finished and we've put the floor in that as well. You'll now find yourself stuck in the second dome once you've built this, and what we're going to do is connect this up to the first dome. Now it's worth noting that I have put a single sea lantern in the middle of this and on the other one, because this, along with the lighting around the edge, is enough to fully make this spawn proof. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take out the sea lanterns and the blocks above, then we're going to make this a 3x3 on both the sides. And then we're going to fill in the little gap in between, like so, with whatever your flooring material is. For me, that's going to be this quartz again. On either side, we're going to place a sea lantern in this gap. Then we're going to place a glass on top of that. Then coming up here, we're going to place 3 glass along each side. We're then going to place 3 glass along each of these sides as well, which leaves us with this little 3 gap. Fill in the 2 sides, and then just place a sea lantern in the middle, and that allows us access right the way through the bases, through the domes rather. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to start building the spheres above these. With each of those skeletons in place, they look a little bit strange at the moment, but we're going to start now filling these in, and we're going to do this with doing exactly the same as we did previously, but this time when we're putting the blocks in place, like the L-shaped blocks here, we're also doing the ones on the underside as well. So if you're building this in survival, get your scaffolding out, it's probably the best way, or just plenty of dirt. So yeah, just fill them in, but for each quarter, like I say, you're going to be doing exactly the same, but you're going to be mirroring what we do on the top, or what we did on the top in the previous steps, on the bottom as well, and that will give you the finished effect that you are looking for. With the spheres complete, which is basically doing a dome exactly like we did beneath, and then also another one flipping it upside down underneath here, we're going to start connecting these up. So the first thing we're going to do is connect up to the bottom, and we'll do this by creating a 3x3 gap here, and then a 3x3 gap in the one beneath, and then just connecting up using the glass around the edge like so. and that gives you our tunnel and our ability to get up and down into this base. So we'll do the same on the other side, and then we're also going to connect this through, again centered around the sea lantern, with a 3x3 coming through here like so. We'll have a glass line at the bottom and up the sides with a sea lantern in between, connecting these two like this, and then bring that right the way across and round. So yeah, do that through there, and that gives you now the connectivity in between each of these domes. In terms of floors, the best thing to do if you're building this in survival and want to use this is to place a floor of whatever you want. I'll just show you with quartz here that comes across at this level, because then this gives you the nice walkway through. And then you can also create a floor at this level here, which gives you another bit of space in between that and the ceiling above. But I'm not going to do that for this build, but it's just a useful thing to note if you are building these in survival and want to make the best use of the domes themselves. To add the finishing touches to these domes, the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to replace this middle piece of glass with a sea lantern, just because it looks a bit nicer. And then we are going to take some end rods. Now the end rods are going to be placed going up to this section here. So we've got 3 high. My personal preference is to have like the 2 at the bottom and then the 1 on the top. We're going to have an end rod here, 1 in the corner gap, just like so, and then going round the build like this. So what we'll have is we will have 8 end rods in this space, and those look a little bit like some super strong alloy holding this dome itself up. So go round, fill in those end rods all the way round each of these 2 sections. It adds something to break up the glass, and like I say, it looks like you've got some support pillars going on. Next, we're going to build the rest of the entranceway. So the first thing we're going to do is going to take some sea lanterns. We're going to place 1 on either side in front of the build. Then we're going to fill in all of these gaps with a sea lantern in each of these. In front of that, we're going to place a smooth quartz block, and then we're going to replace this section with whatever your flooring is that you've chosen, like so. Now we're going to build up and over in terms of creating a covered walkway. So we'll start with some of the glass. We'll place 2 of the glass on this side like so. Then we come out of the build and we place 2 of the smooth quartz stairs. And then we simply connect this up. We've got some glass here, and then in the final one, the one closest to these stripes, we're going to place a sea lantern like so. Next, we're going to build up around this with the quartz like so, just right the way around. And then we're going to choose which of the colors we're going to have in each of these gaps. So each of these stripes is going to have a different color in, but if you wanted to use the same color, you can. I'm going to have the red on the outside here with the orange in the middle. So we're going to build the orange up like this, leaving that center block because we're going to have a sea lantern to match beneath. Then we're just going to simply build the quartz around like this. Then we're going to do the same that we did with the orange with the red concrete, bring that round and connect up with the sea lantern. Now we're going to have 2 lines of quartz here going through right the way round. And lastly, for the front entranceway here, we're simply going to line this up with some of the glass here for these 2 blocks. Then, as we've done on the other side, we've got the stairs and the glass. Actually, what we do need to do is we will, to keep this consistent and line that up, we're also going to place a sea lantern there. So this then gives us the entranceway and the tunnel that takes us straight through into the build. Now we're going to start on the towers, and these towers are going to be the same for each of these stripes. So I'm just going to show you on the first one, and obviously just repeat this on all of the others. Now the heights that we're going to go are 2, 7, 12, 15 and 18 is the first stage that we're going to go. So including this block, which is already 1, so it'll be 2, then this one will be 5 higher, then this one will be 5 higher again, then the next one will be 3 higher than that, and then the final one will be 3 higher than that. For the next pillar, we're going to come up 20. So this one was 18, so we're going to come up 2 higher than this, and I'll fill that in right the way to the floor. Then we're going to come up to 22, which is another 2 higher again. As you can see, this is starting to curve off at the top. And then this final one comes up to 23, so 1 block higher. So as you can see, we've got a nice smooth curve. On the edge of this one that's 23, we're going to actually place a smooth quartz stair as well. Now, at this 23 level, we're going to have a total of 3 blocks coming across. So as you can see, you have this coming round like so. Then we're going to start stepping back down again in exactly the same way that we've got. So we've got a 22 here with the stair on top. Then we've got the 20 here. Then we're going to come down to the 18 here. And then we're going to come down as low as the 15 here, and then the 15 in this stage is the last one that we're going to fill in. So all of this will be filled in, and as you'll see, you've got a nice then curve coming up and round with this. So fill this in for each of these 6 lines. With those all in place, the next level that we're going to have is again mirroring this. So this is going to be 12 high, and this is going to come down, and then 3 beneath that we're going to move across, and this one is the first time that it actually differs because this curve is going to come out on a smoother arc here. So this one is then 9, so that one will come out as well, and then we have 7 here, so 2 beneath that, and then we have 6 here to finish off this section. So we're just going to bring this down, and this will be 6, so all of this will be filled in, as will all of the other slices. To finish off these each of these towers, each of these slices, the next one is going to come across, and this is going to be 5 high, and this is actually going to extend out 2, and then the next one, which is 4 high, is also going to extend out 2. Then we've got 3 high here that's going to come out 3 blocks, and then finally we've got 4 blocks going along at 2 high, and then we'll just fill all of this in very quickly. And then this, as you can see by that nice curve, goes up nicely and then comes down, and so this is going to be replicated for each of these 6 stripes. Just to make sure you've got everything right, here is a picture with the heights for each of the columns. Now we're going to start filling in some of the colours, and similar to some of the other builds, what we're going to do is we're going to run a line of the concrete so it leaves exactly 1 block gap all the way around the insides. Now when you come to sections like this is okay because it's got a light in, then you might want to make sure that you are lighting up the inside area. But yeah, we're just going to, like I say, run this all the way around. Whenever you get to a step like this, just come in and run this through. So this side's going to be the red, this side for me is going to be the orange, which are the colors that I'm using, and then on the inside here I'm going to have orange again with red on the outside. So you've got the red kind of fading into the orange, but again, use any colors that you wish. So yeah, we'll carry on round through this. Once we get to this bottom portion here, stepping this round, obviously when we get here, then there's no more blocks. What we're going to do then is just knock out a line of these that comes right the way level to the last of these 4 blocks, and we're going to fill these in. Next, we're going to add some decoration on both this back side and also on the front where we've got the entranceway. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to come across 3 blocks, and on the 4th block we're going to put a slab. Then we're going to build up 3 blocks. Next we're going to build up 6 blocks. So that'll come up 3 above that with a slab on top, and then finally on this step we're going to come up 10 blocks. Now we're going to come up 4 blocks here, then we're going to come up 1 block here, and then 4 blocks here as well, and on top of these we're going to place a slab like so, then level with the other half of this slab. So this is a bottom slab, this will be a top slab. We're going to place some more slabs on here, and then we're going to build both of these up, and this is going to be 4 blocks higher. So 3-4 blocks higher on both sides than this. Now when you're building this around the doorway, obviously you just build the extra bits that would be around the doorway, so you're not going to replace any blocks in the doorway. Once you've got up to the top, which is 14 blocks here, in the middle we're going to place 1 more block, which will make it 15 blocks in the center, and we're going to place some stairs on that side like so. Next we're going to replicate what we've done on these 2, so we've got one that's 10 high just like this, which will come up level with Without the quartz is quite difficult to see on the quartz, but you can see there. And this will go right the way down to the ground. And then just outside that, we've got this same one, which is going to be 6 high with a slab on top, so 6.5 high, which will come down here like this. So if you just fill all of these in, then I'll show you also how that looks on the front before showing you the next stage. On the front side, as you can see, then these 2 slabs start on top of the doorway with the sea lantern in the middle. So yeah, it looks really good on the front side as well. So I'll just show you the rest of it on the front side, and then you replicate it on the back as you would do. So the first thing we're going to go is 4.5 blocks. So 4 with the slab on top. Then we're going to go 3 blocks. Then we're going to go 2.5 blocks here with a slab on top. Then 2 sets of 2 blocks like this. The final part of this is we're going to go up 1.5 blocks for 2 blocks wide. Then we're going to go 3 blocks along like so. And lastly, we're going to finish off with 5 of the slabs. And that brings us to this stage. Now what we're going to do is add a little bit of colour in the middle. I'll show you the colours at the back of the build, and then as with the others, you just do the bits on the front that are relevant. So the very first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take out all of these quartz blocks that we've got just in behind this. And that is going to give us the area that we're then going to build on. So the first thing we're going to do is place some sea lanterns. We're going to place a sea lantern here and here in the bottom. So these are recessed just into that area. Then here we're going to place some of the red concrete. So we're going to place 3 red concrete and then another sea lantern. And then we're going to build down some more some more red concrete rather, until we get to this point. Now, directly in the middle of this area, we're just going to place another sea lantern, and we're going to place a red concrete on each side, and then just another little touch to add a bit more color. We're going to add the other accent color that we've got just round the side, so you'll get a nice pattern like this. And yeah, just replicate that on the front in the space that you've got above the doorway. We also have these big plain blank sections on the inside of the build that we're going to now sort out and add a bit of detail and some colour to them. So I've marked on this side the blocks that we're going to take out, and we'll run through the first couple of stages of that. So we're going to be starting from 1 block for this first section above the ground, and then we're going to be taking out the first 4 blocks on this, the furthest one, which lines up just with the edge of where the lumpy bit comes out on the sphere. And then we're going to take out 8 blocks next to that. Next, we're going to be starting from 2 blocks up, and we're going to be taking out an 11 block space here, and also at the other side here. Then in the middle, we've got one that goes up 15 blocks. So where that comes in relation to this is you'll have 4 more blocks that you come up above where you'd finished, and then 3 more blocks for this center section. So for the final bits to remove, we've got, starting again from 1 block up this time, we've got a section that is 8 high that we're going to take out. Then we've got one that's 6 high, then one that's 4. So it's 8, 6, 4 stepping down. Then we've got one section of 3 and 2 sections of 2 like this. Now on this side here, we are then going to place a stair on each of these blocks. With all of those blocks taken out, now what we're simply going to do in this recessed section is build up an entire block of colour using whichever of the colours that you choose to use. I'm just going to be using the red on this because I've tried a couple of different things, and for me just that big block of red works really well. So I'm going to fill all of this in, and I'm also going to do the same on the other side, so replicate this on here. And what we're going to do then, the only difference being on this doorway section where we've knocked out the blocks, we're going to place our extra stair just 1 block above. So we've got an extra bit that goes above the doorway, and the rest of this is then taken out as per the other side with the red blocks in just against this wall. With those 2 sections with some extra colour added, it breaks up the interior of these towers really nicely. So the next thing that we're going to do is talk about the placements of all of the sea lanterns. So we've got some sea lanterns coming in around the sides of the build. So the first sea lantern that you're going to be wanting is up and across 1 from this 3 high section. And so again, if from the inside, it's diagonally 3 blocks in from that corner. Then again, diagonally 3 blocks in from the next corner, and level with this section here, we have the next sea lantern. So again, we're stepping up with each of these blocks. Then just one beneath this stair and also one beneath this full block, we've got this other sea lantern, again maintaining a single block gap between the sea lanterns and the edge here. Now this one is level with this first 3 section, the one before it switches to going up too high. And then at the very top, where we've got these stairs coming around, we're going to place a couple of sea lanterns in like so. Now, stepping down the other side, again, level with this, we're just going to be replicating it first and making sure it's level. And again, you can put these anywhere that you like, but I thought that these are quite nicely spaced out. And again, once we get down to this level, we've got the sea lanterns matching, and these also match at the same heights as the sea lanterns we've got in the middle here. This is the first one where it gets a bit different. So this is where we've got the 2 high section. We're going to come up a further 2 blocks and place a sea lantern here, and that is 4 blocks down from the top. Then we're going to come across in this section where we've got 3 blocks, and these are just 1 block. We'll come up to the middle of this and place a sea lantern there. So you've got a 3x3 basically with a sea lantern in the middle, and the last of the sea lanterns goes right next to the end of these slabs that you've got here. And as you can see, when you back off, that gives a really nice curve with the sea lanterns that matches the edges of the build. The very last thing we're going to do is we're going to add some end rods. Now the first function of these end rods is going to be like we've got here, some super strong alloy to connect up the build. So what we're going to do is we're going to place 3 of them on each of these sections where we're next to this the pillars, and so these can act as some supports. And so place 3 here, and we'll also place 3 up at the top here in the same places. 1 more and 1 more there. So as you can see, it's just a little detail, but it ties the build together. So we'll do that on the other side as well. The final touch is just to add some further lighting into these towers, and we're going to basically place an end rod at each of the times that we change height. So we've got some at the top here, then on each of these blocks that sticks out on both the sides, so going down the other side as well, we're going to place some end rods through, and also on both sides of the build. And this looks great, and also means that there's no spawning spots on this tower itself as well. With the build now finished, I think you'll agree that it looks fantastic. Now this is a great build if you're looking to get started in terms of learning about futuristic builds, because there's nothing too complicated, but you can still get a brilliant end result. And it is a great one because you can actually then expand on this base by adding some more of the modules, so some more of the domes and the spheres on top. Now I'll show you through a number of the different options for this now. Firstly, we have the simplest way that you can expand on this, which is just by adding another set of domes and another tower onto the far side, and it gives you just an expanded view, but again a really nice look. Another great way is to flip the build and just put it end to end with itself. So you've got the 2 towers up at the 2 ends, and again it looks fantastic. Another slight change that you can make to this is you can actually just flip the orientation of one of the towers. So you've got both of the towers connecting to the different spheres at the ends. The final suggestion is to add the domes in between just 2 of the towers, the domes and spheres, and that gives you a lot more space that you can actually use for this build. It does give you a great output, but yeah, like I say, plenty of space. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, please do check out some of the other builds in the series. There are an awful lot of futuristic builds, so if you do like that, then make sure you do check them out. Make sure that you do subscribe to the channel if you don't already, and make sure that you hit that like button and leave me a comment to let me know, because it really does help the channel. All that's left to be said is thank you very much for watching, and I will see you next time on 80Craft. Bye!